Okay, first thing I'm going to mention about Palaces of Carrara is the whole zoom thing. If you zoom out enough, you can see both player boards and the center and everything all at once. Really good way to play if you can see everything clearly. I tend to play zoomed in a little further, and I just scroll down when I want to get to player boards. Important areas of note. Up at the top on the game board are the 6 scoring locations for each city. In order to score the cities on the left, you'll see they have a 2 symbol under them. You need 2 buildings in those cities to be able to score them. The ones on the right all have 3 underneath. You need 3 buildings on that city to be able to score it. Up here is a publicly available place to buy objects. You pay 10 coins to buy 1 object. This is sort of an in-game thing. You will also notice there are 5 objects of each type in the supply. In a 2-player game, it might as well not even hide the other player's objects, because you can see your objects and you can count. If there are 3 cups left and you don't have any cups, then your opponent has 2 cups. Not very hard, is it? But don't forget about this extra 1 that's purchasable by any player. There's only 1 of each type there. Then over here on the left of the game board are the currently available building tiles to buy from. Anytime one of these 9 buildings is purchased, a replacement will come out. It's very important to play your first few games of Palaces on a computer, so you can hover over it and it'll tell you it is this type of building that gives this type of object and is in this category city. Type, object, category. All 3 of these things are very important. The top right tells you how many bricks it takes to build it. Well, that's pretty useful to know too. But that one's obvious. The other 3 things are not obvious. I'll talk about why they matter in a second. Then we have the wheel. The wheel shows you what each type of brick costs in that slice, starting with really expensive down to really, really cheap. But every time you spin the wheel, you guys are going to be collecting bricks. It's hard for them to get too far to the end because people are going to buy the cheap bricks, right? Yeah, anyway, that's a big balancing part of the game and is really cool in my opinion. Okay, next up, the most important thing of every Palaces game are these objective cards. They tell you what you need to do to achieve a victory. They also tell you what you get at the end, so that you can not just be the person to finish the objectives first, but the person with the most points after that. You can end the game and still lose. First one, have this many points. It says right on the tooltip, this is an in-game objective. It gives you no victory points. You don't get 30 points for scoring 30 points. It just is a threshold you must be past to be the person in the game. Pretty straightforward. Next up is object card. There's always one objective with objects. This one is collecting 3 sets of identical pairs. And it's very nice with this tooltip again, telling you that 4 objects are 2 pairs. And 6 objects of the same type are 3 pairs. Important, every final scoring gives you 5 victory points for each pair of objects you have, no matter what objects they are or how they were blocked out. They must be the same type though. If you have 1 cup and you have 1 gate, that's not a pair. Alright, next objective. Build a building cost 8. You will pretty much always be doing this when you're playing the advanced version of Palaces. You'll notice though that they give extra victory points for how far in the biggest cities that you place them. It is significantly harder to place them on the leftmost city for 34 bonus points, and it's super easy to put them on the rightmost building for 4 victory points. You'll want to be somewhere in the middle or on specific cities that you're already getting bonuses for. Final card. This says final scoring on it. This is not an objective. You do not need to score 2 cities in this particular match in order to end the game. In other matches, there might be a tile that says you must score 2 cities or must score 3 cities to end the game. Coins are scored 1 victory point per 5 coins, as mentioned right on it. So it's going to find whichever cities that you are going to gain the most points from with your current buildings, and those will be given to you as a bonus. Every single building in those 2 cities will score. This gives you an incentive to stack up buildings in individual places. You want to make 2 really good bastions of points for the end of the game. Alright, 8 cost buildings are always available to buy, one of each type of building. Each type of building gives a different type of object. 4 of them are city categories. Only 2 types of buildings are land categories. When you buy an 8 cost building, you get an upgrade token. You upgrade how much you get for scoring one of the building areas, or one of the cities. But not only can you upgrade the cities, you can also upgrade the categories. This is a category card. Every single one of these 4 types of buildings that are on city types gives you 2 coins if you upgrade rather than 1 coin. This is the land upgrade. Every one of your land buildings will give you 2 victory points when you score that. Naturally, it's 1 victory point instead. So now let's talk about the player board. The player board is where your individual buildings will be constructed. It tells you which type of bricks you can use to build in those cities. You do not have to have all of the same color brick. You just have to have all of the types of bricks available for that city. So for example, any 8 bricks of any colors can be used to build in the first city. Anything except for black, anything but black and blue, and so on and so forth. Now, scoring. You have 6 scoring tokens available to you during the game. These 6 tokens are up here in my player thing. I can score them in any 6 places I want. I do not have to use all of them, but if I have ever used all 6 scorings, I cannot do any more scoring that game except for final scoring and objectives. You want to have finished the game before running out of these in most cases, unless you're just trying to stay even with your opponent before they can end the game on you too fast. The places you will be using them to score is on this player board. Once one player has gone there, other players cannot. Or down at the bottom left of your own player board, you can score all of one type of building. All of these flag ones, all of these coat of arm ones. I normally talk about these buildings as if they're their, what do you call that? Their object, but they're really not. This is a villa. The villa just happens to be a coat of arms. When you click score villa, every single villa building that you have in any city will score. It will score based on what city it's in. So if I have a villa in this leftmost one, that, let's say it's this one, that's the 5 block, I will get 15 victory points for clicking this button. But I can only score each type 1 time. That's basically it. Then I talked about the categories already. Score for coins, score for victory points. The victory point one is really powerful. I will warn you that. I have been schooled by it a couple times. I have also used it to my advantage a couple of times. Is there anything else you need to know? Oh, on the wheel, anytime you spin the wheel, it will refresh all the blocks necessary in this first wedge to have 11 total blocks on the board. If you choose not to spin the wheel, you do not have to add more blocks to it and can just buy at the current rates. So you'll be buying at a higher cost to keep your opponent from having more options on their next turn. You mostly do that once bricks have already made it fairly far around, and maybe they only cost 1, or maybe they cost nothing. So you just don't spin the wheel, you don't make everything cheaper for your opponent, but you get the bricks you want and then you let it go on. It's a really nice addition to the advanced rules versus the normal, and that is how to play Palaces of Carrara. I think that covers all of the main ideas. I will be posting another video with a walkthrough of this particular game replay.